Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Several $100 million can be cut from the federal budget by defunding Planned Parenthood. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. And joining me is Matt Barber, vice president of Liberty Counsel Action and associate dean of the law school. Matt, this vote in the House recently passed the Pence Amendment by a vote of 240 to 185, with 10 Democrats joining the Republican constituency there in Washington, D.C. to defund Planned Parenthood. This is historic. Now it moves on to the Senate, and that's where the real battle is going to be in the next several weeks.
And when we say defund Planned Parenthood, what we're referring to, of course, is just last year, close to $360 million of taxpayer dollars going to Planned Parenthood. Supposedly, they don't commingle any funds, and none of those funds are used for abortion. Well, that's a ridiculous argument. Abortion is the lion's share of Planned Parenthood's business, and clearly that enables Planned Parenthood to keep their doors open so that they can perform abortions. But this has been a long time coming, and it is definitely a victory for life and a move in the right direction.
It really is. Between 2002 and 2009, almost $1 trillion have been given from the federal taxpayers to Planned Parenthood and its abortion-providing organization affiliates. That's outrageous, $1 trillion almost. And then, like you said, $360 or so million just last year. The funding increased under the Obama administration. That should have been done when we had the House, the Senate, and the White House during the Bush years, but they didn't do it, and therefore they lost their place in Washington, D.C. People now have spoken, however, in the 2010 election, and there's been a sea change on the House. Significant change, but not as much of a sea change on the Senate. So that's why you're seeing these people standing up, doing the right thing. They not only defunded Planned Parenthood, but they defunded the National Public Radio as well. This is something that, as Americans, we need to draw a line in this historic moment, because this is historic to defund Planned Parenthood. They should have never been funded in the first place. Now we need to keep the Senate's feet to the fire to make sure that this particular bill gets passed in the Senate.
Well, you said it. That's exactly right. And there's a uphill battle for sure in the Senate. So people need to contact their senators in their states, whether they're Republican, Democrat, and insist. The talk of getting the debt down, reducing the deficit, that is a number one priority in this country right now. And what better way to start by going after Planned Parenthood, NPR, certainly monies, taxpayer dollars that are being used for highly controversial purposes. People need to get a hold of their senators, especially in those swing states. And for some of those Democrats in a swing state, they need to recognize that it's a political liability not to vote to defund Planned Parenthood.
Well, Liberty Counsel Action, our 501c4 issue advocacy sister organization to Liberty Counsel, scored the vote. And that means not only on this, but other issues relative to our family, faith, and freedom. Liberty Counsel Action is now scoring the votes. So later this year or in 2012, when people go to the polls, you'll be able to find out exactly where all of these representatives and senators voted on important issues that affect our family, faith, and freedom. We will have that information available at Liberty Counsel and also Liberty Counsel Action. This vote, among other things, this provision, what's called the continuing resolution in the House, actually restores the Dornan Amendment to ensure that no funds pay for abortion in the District of Columbia, which began 2 years ago when Obama began funding abortions in the District of Columbia. It eliminates funding for the UNFPA, which is Planned Parenthood's sister international affiliate that is supporting China's brutal one-child policy. I mean, we've been funding that kind of insanity. This eliminates that funding.
It's unconscionable that taxpayer dollars would go to fund abortion, period, which they are here in the United States. But it's simply jaw-dropping that our taxpayer dollars are going to fund forced abortion, compulsory abortion, where women are dragged into clinics, kicking and screaming, and forced to give into an abortion, have their child killed. It's unbelievable that we have taxpayer dollars.
And President Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have remained absolutely silent with regards to the atrocities of China's civil rights violations, particularly in this one-child policy, and that's because of their radical position in support of abortion. The continuing resolution passed by the Republican-led House also restores the Mexico City policy. Now, the Mexico City policy was actually repealed by Obama the first week he was in office. That prohibited funding abortions internationally. So for the last 2 years, we've been sending our funds to fund abortion around the world. It also reduces funding for international family planning by over $200 million and eliminates funding for the Teen Pregnancy Prevention Program, which promoted progressive sexual education as well as other radical lifestyle provisions.
Well, Matt, there's an interesting angle here. By overwhelming margins, the American people, the polls show, are against their taxpayer dollars going to fund abortion. So any politician who votes to fund abortion, who would vote against this Pence Amendment, the Senate version of it, once it goes to the Senate, they are voting against the clear will of the American people. And Gallup recently came out with a poll that shows that solidly Democratic states are down from 2008 to 2010 by half. They have been cut by half. That means there are that many more swing states right now. That means there are many liberals and Democrats out there that are hanging on for dear life. And if they think that they can then go in and not vote to defund Planned Parenthood and that it's not going to come back to haunt them, they're sorely mistaken.
Well, even taking the moral component out of this for just a moment, which you really can't do, obviously, with abortion. If you've got a budget crisis, you've got to cut.
Yeah.
And you don't. You have to fund only those things that are necessary. To want to fund the killing of unborn children, which is absolutely amoral, whether you have a budget crisis or not, is just unthinkable. Mm. And the fact that we have actually been funding abortion by our taxpayer dollars is absolutely atrocious. We just had a genocide symposium at Liberty University School of Law, and we brought people in from around the world, from Rwanda and parts of Africa, from Canada, around the United States. We brought people who lived through the genocide, counselors who are giving post-grief counseling in some of these places around the world that have genocide. What we have here in America, and we also had, by the way, a person who survived the Holocaust, 82-year-old Irvin Roth. Mm-hmm. What we have here in America is genocide in the womb. And now what the government has been doing is forcing every one of us to fund genocide in our time. This is not the Holocaust. This is not Rwanda in 1994. This is in America, where we're funding genocide not only here in our borders, but also around the world as well. And to force people to participate in genocide by funding it is absolutely atrocious. That is a grave sin on America.
Well, Matt, the debate is no longer even open. It is settled science that a human life is a human life and begins at the moment of conception. So anybody who supports abortion and the killing of unborn children at any stage in the womb is going against science, and their position is rooted purely in politics. And so, the noose is closing around the neck of the radical multi-billion-dollar abortion industry. They see it. They're reacting in a violent and very, very loud manner. They know that the jig is up. But now, as a former boxer, I can say when you get someone up in the ropes and they're hurt, that's not the time that you stop. You keep punching until they go down. That's what we need to keep doing here.
Absolutely. You can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org. And on that front page of the website, you can sign up for the Grassroots Action email. And that is something that we have nearly 400,000 people that are activists. We have over 1 million emails, but we have 400,000 that really want to make a difference in America. And when we send out an email to that list, they respond, and many of those people responded when this bill was being debated. And now we go to the second phase, to the Senate. We want you to be involved as well. You can go to Liberty Counsel's website, lc.org, sign up for the Grassroots Action email. You can also sign up for the Liberator right there on the front page as well. And be sure to give Liberty Counsel a tax-deductible contribution as part of your giving plans, because Liberty Counsel is a nonprofit organization. We exist by individuals just like you who support Liberty Counsel. It's a nonprofit organization. Without your prayers and your financial support, we wouldn't be able to have this operation where we advance freedom in the courtrooms and in the legislative halls around America. So become a part of this ministry and make a difference. Don't just simply get frustrated, stand on the sidelines and get irritated at what's happening in America. Be a part of the solution, and you can do that by joining Liberty Counsel. Go to lc.org today.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.